Hey there, multi-prep teachers. You know how professional development never seems to quite get to what we need? It's like, great idea, but how do I make this work when I have 3+ preps to juggle? That's exactly why I created the Simplify Your Preps Collective. It's a free Facebook group built just for teachers like you, where we share tips, resources, and real talk about making multi-prep teaching less overwhelming and more doable. Sound like your kind of space? Head to kristenmasick.com/collective and join us today. Let's simplify together. Welcome to the Secondary Teacher Podcast. Today, I'm going to share with you my journey as a multiple prep teacher, uncovering how clutter impacted my overwhelm at both school and home. So I'm drawing from the popular TV show in the 90s called Clean Sweep. And I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step process on how to clear clutter from classrooms and homes. So stay tuned to learn how to create organized, manageable spaces. Welcome to the Secondary Teacher Podcast, the podcast for middle and high school teachers juggling multiple preps to get the strategies to reduce overwhelm so that you don't have to choose between being an effective teacher and prioritizing important relationships. I'm your host, Kristen Masick, a 10-year high school engineering teacher, former middle school assistant principal, and teacher coach. Every week, we will discuss strategies, systems, and time-saving tips to help you not only survive but thrive as a multiple prep teacher. I wish I had known sooner as an overwhelmed multiple prep teacher how much clutter was affecting my overwhelm. So today we are going to be talking about how to clear clutter, my favorite way to do it, whether that be from your classroom or also from your home, because in my case, it was actually impacting me on both fronts. So I would be overwhelmed and exhausted at school, and then I would come home and I would also get more overwhelmed because my house would be in a disarray. You may or may not want to be doing any decluttering, but it's on my mind right now because I'm going to be doing quite a bit of it this week. So I wanted you to know the process that I go through and what has ended up working for me as someone who just naturally collects clutter, which unfortunately is a lot of us teachers. I'm going to give you the quick and dirty of how the show operated, and then we're going to dissect it. So what they would do is they would go into someone's house and they would choose a room to declutter, and then they would decorate it and organize it as they brought everything back in. And what they would do on the show is they would take everything out and they would separate it into piles. So they would have a keep pile, a sell pile, and they'd have a trash pile. And where the show got interesting is they would always start out with the largest pile was always the keep pile. Everyone feels like everything is important. So they would save everything, or they would try to save everything. And then they would spend the majority of the show going through that keep pile and removing things. So either putting it into trash or the donate or sell pile. And that is a strategy that you are going to use for your space. And I've done this time and time again, and it really wasn't until I started using the strategy this is when it started actually sticking and staying and making my spaces a lot more organized, including my classroom, but then also my home as well. So what we're going to learn from this TV show, from Clean Sweep, is first off, you are going to select one space or one area. They never did an entire house, even though you could tell from the amount of things that were in that one room, they probably had several other rooms that were very similar. They only ever did the one. And granted, it was on TV, so they probably didn't have the time or the money for it, but they only ever did the one space. So for you, that's going to be the same. You're either going to do a space, and once you get momentum, you are welcome to just continue on. But you need to start and finish one space at a time, one small area at a time. So in your classroom, it could be that you were tackling your desk area, or possibly you have a cabinet that you would really want to go through. And I'm not talking about the entire bank of cabinets, like with 12 cabinets. I would just start with the double doors or the single door area. And then this is what you're going to start with. So just like what they did on the show, you're going to take everything out. Now in the show, I forgot to mention, they would remove everything from the house, so outside, and they put it on the ground so you can see how much stuff you have. And Marie Kondo, who is the author of The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, in her book, she also had mentioned putting things in piles so you could see how much of everything you have. So with her system, she would have you categorize by different things so you could see how much. But with her method, they're looking at doing the whole entire house at once. But remember, we're not doing that. We're just doing a specific spot, a small section, so that you can have this achievable, you can get a win before the summer is up if you're planning on doing that right now. So you clear everything out. Do the same thing that they did on the show. You've got your trash pile, your keep pile, and we're not going to sell. I mean, maybe you could sell some things, but you could have it sell. Or you could do like the donate or give away. And like the TV show, your goal is to get the keep pile to be as small as possible. One of the things that they would go over in the show is how we typically hang on to things more for sentimental reasons or reasons why that we don't actually need the item any longer, but for some reason we're holding on to it. So another thing that I'd heard recently was this idea of asking yourself as you are going through your items whether or not you can live without it. Or when it comes to teaching, more often than not, you already have a digital version of it. If you have student work, do you need the physical piece of student work, or could you take a picture or scan it to show students later on and make it digital? There are a lot of different ways that you can keep an item without physically having it. The other thing to remember is everything that you are putting into your keep pile must have a home. So before you return it back to your desk area or before you return it back to that cabinet, it needs to have a home. And better yet, you'll want to have a system for returning things to that home. One of my favorite systems when it came to returning things back to home as far as on a desk goes is to have a basket on my desk so that everything got tossed into that basket during the day. And then at the end of the day, going through that basket, filing things, throwing things away, putting things away, doing whatever I needed to, but really the majority of my desk was still kept clean because everything was just falling into that basket. So you need to have a home and you need to have a system. So let's go over this organizational decluttering process once again so that you can tackle it or use it for your classroom or even your home. First, you need to select a single space or a single area, not the entire thing, so that you don't get overwhelmed. Then second, you need to divide things up into a save, your keep pile, your throwaway pile, and your donate or sell pile. When you get all those piles laid out, look at how large your keep pile is. And remember, everything in that keep pile needs a home. So what you need to do is you need to figure out what in that pile can move to the other two piles. Then before you put anything back, make sure you have a home for all of those items and then a system to return those items back to that home. If this episode was helpful to you, it could be for others. Tag me in your Instagram stories at Kristen Masick, KHRISTENMASSIC, or send this episode to a colleague. Until next week.